What's up, Latino Nation? Welcome to Latino Wall Street Live here on the FINTECH TV network. We're here live on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange with my good friend, investor, entrepreneur, the man, the myth, the legend, David Meltzer. David, thank you for being here, my friend.
What a pleasure. No better place to be, as you say. It's the
Cathedral of Capitalism.
Cathedral of Capitalism, and so blessed to be here. Big part of the Latino community. Represented, I told you, the Clemente family for years, but I also created my own first fund to fund women and women of color. And the most underrepresented capital goes to women. Latin women have the least amount of funding. So Meltzer Funding was created specifically, which I'm super excited to be here.
That's exciting, man. So let's talk a little bit about capitalism, especially in the minority and underserved communities. There's this notion sometimes that like money is evil, and that, you know, we're told that as kids, right? Money is the root of all evil. And how do you approach looking at money as a tool? Do you think money is evil?
No, money's an energy. So it's like anything else. And I learned a great line because, as you know, I have born poor, became very rich, lost it all, and made it back. And I used to think when I was a child that money bought love and happiness.
Wow.
And I used to laugh at people when they're like, money's evil. My mom was one of those people. Oh, you know, rich people are evil, money's evil. No, money won't buy you love or happiness, but it allows you to shop. And what you shop for, and the reasons that you shop for it, that will determine whether it provides you happiness or hate, whether it provides you this evil or good. You know, without money, there would be no good charities, philanthropy. Without money, right? So it's not the money itself, it's when and what you put it in the flow. So I tell people all the time, make as much money as you can and use it for the right purpose and right cause and the right reasons, and it will do everything good for you. And if you use it for the wrong reasons, it may be considered to be evil.
And how can people do that, right? If they, let's say people are getting rich for their first time, right? Maybe not the second time.
Yep.
How can they use money in a way that's compassionate, in a way that's going to bring more goodness in the world?
Well, first of all, you have to know what you want. So many people live in this energy suck between this is who I am and what I want, compared to this is what I want people to think I am, or this is what people think I should have. And so we get caught up into the false friends or the true enemies because we create early wealth, and other people want to utilize our wealth for their purpose or their cause, and we get caught up into this vicious energy suck between I am and this is what I want people to think I am, trying to always keep up with the Joneses. So my advice for you when you're gaining capital is to find a mentor. To find someone that sits in this situation, already paid the dummy tax. I know here on the floor, a lot of people talk about taxes, tariffs, they talk about state taxes, federal taxes, all type of taxes play into the markets itself. Let me tell you what really matters, the dummy tax. You see, 12% California state tax doesn't impact me at all. I call it a weather tax. You know what impacts me? My dummy tax. It cost me everything I ever made, over $100 million, and it almost cost me everything I ever was going to have. And so the fastest way to get to where you want to be, especially financially, is find someone that sits in the situation you want to be in and ask them for help. They'll give you directions without making you pay the dummy tax.
Yeah, learn from not only your own experiences, but try to learn from other people's experiences, right? So that you don't have to learn the hard way.
Learn from other people's experience that are already there. The problem with social media is that there's a lot of false gurus besides the false friends and the evil out there, the true enemies. There's people out there, there's 19-year-old life coaches. You know, who's going to hire a 19-year-old life coach? You know, if someone tells me they're going to be my financial fiduciary, my financial advisor, my financial mentor, coach, or teacher, I'm going to ask you, what's your financial history and where are you today? Because I want to know what dummy tax you paid and how successful you are. Why would I ask someone that doesn't know how to hit a golf ball how to hit a golf ball?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So I want to talk a little bit about your show. You have the new program on Cheddar. It's about investing, right? Where should entrepreneurs go for capital, and why is your approach, I guess, maybe different and a little bit disruptive versus the information that's already out there?
Well, look, I've had a long history with entrepreneurial TV shows and podcasts, and I was, and still am, sorry, the executive producer of Elevator Pitch on Cheddar.
Yes.
And that was my first genre with Entrepreneur Magazine, Entrepreneur Digital.
Yeah.
And what I learned from being on the show as a host was I didn't like being a host because there's a false facade of funding. On Dragon's Den, on Shark Tank, they just did a thing today on Instagram I saw, over 50% of the companies on Shark Tank that are said to get funded don't get funded, and even more of a percentage don't get funded what they're promised. Because we're not really teaching you how to get funded. And so I then went from looking at Dragon's Den, Elevator Pitch, and Shark Tank to creating 2-Minute Drill. And my idea with 2-Minute Drill, which is on Apple TV, and Reach TV, by the way, the 2-Minute Drill is a pitch-only competition where you win prizes. You don't even need a company. I'm just teaching people how to pitch. So you can, pitch your kid on how to eat broccoli, and you can win. And we give great cash and prizes there. The idea, though, the ultimate crown jewel in the cathedral here is go fund yourself. So the Titans, which I'm blessed to be one of the hosts, the Titan, we're just asking all the questions to elevate the awareness to the good and the bad in the deal so that millions of people on Cheddar, like 10 million people watch this show on Cheddar, they can decide whether or not they want to fund the company or not through a Reg CF filing, a crowdfunding filing, and we have nothing to do with it. The market speaks for itself, and so it's a great marketing tool, great advertising, great funding tool, and it also sells products because we have a relationship with Verb, and they can instantly buy the product as well.
And so you're a big believer, I guess, in crowdfunding and letting the market decide on which ideas are best, right?
I'm a big fan of anything that takes the middleman out of that funding process, anything that allows people to make their own decisions, because those type of deals were never available for the general public. And so with is it the Public Act with President Obama?
Yeah, the new legislation.
Yeah, that's how just crowdfunding in itself, whether for a charity, a company, whatever it may be, now we actually have a regulated way so that people have to follow, guidelines, even within, so we can't just make false promises, over promotion, because Kickstarter and Indiegogo are great, but let's be honest, there's no controls on what you're really funding. Here you have all of the different filings necessary to make sure that what is represented on our show or represented by the company is true.
When do you think is the right time for an entrepreneur to even go out for funding? Like, sometimes I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs are looking for funding too early, right? They go out and they just have an idea on a napkin, and so where between the napkin and the final product should they look for funding?
So first of all, we have to teach people to know their timing and risk tolerance. That's the biggest problem why you have the napkin to the billion-dollar funding situations. It's because they don't know their timing and risk tolerance. According to the industry's careers, jobs, the technology, the different types of services, solutions that are being offered in your own business, you should know and constantly readjust your timing and risk tolerance, because that's truly the indicator of whether or not you should take in funds personally from family and friends, from an angel investor, or maybe the timing and risk tolerance aligned with what's doing well, it's stable, and you think is doing well, deserves, the big idea funding, because you have such a unicorn idea, the timing and risk tolerance changes. Most companies, to be fair, try to get funding too early. And it just is an indicator that you don't truly have faith. I'll, consult a lot and mentor a lot of different companies, and I'll ask them one question. Why don't you raise money from your family and friends?
Wow.
Oh, well, they wouldn't do it. Whoa. So here's the problem. If I'm an investor and you're telling me your family and friends won't fund you, then if I had a company that I knew, if you gave me $100, I was certain that I could turn it into 1,000, I would have no problem at least asking.
Yeah.
And
you'd be begging, Mom, please give me this $100. I can turn it into 1,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Or what if I had $1,000? Put it this way: if I had $1,000 in my hand, and I would go up to my mom and say, Mom, would you trade me $1,000 for 100? And with that confidence, that's what I'm looking for in an entrepreneur that's raising money. So when they're thinking about what it's going to take to get there, and they're using this lie, and they're just too early. And you need to make sure that your timing and risk tolerance, one, is aligned, two, that you have the capability of articulating the value of what you're going to give them to exceed what you're asking for. And until you're confident in both of those, you shouldn't raise money.
So let's talk about, I guess, step two. Let's say you raise money, you just raised $1 million in funding. What is the most important thing that you think companies that are raising money should be investing those funds into?
Well, it depends, obviously, in the business. So I think what they need to realize is, once again, what that ROI is going to be on that money, and they need to continue raising money. Like, knowing business, you should always be raising.
Yeah.
You don't have to take the money, but you should always go from your million, you should have a $2 or $5 million raise right behind it, and so that you have, it's not a stop and go. I see so many companies, regardless of whether they're right or not on their timing and risk tolerance and the execution of their plan, the use of funds that they presented for the $1 million, that's what they're supposed to do. But you and I both know the minute that we take money, the minute we come to an agreement, the minute we make a decision in business, time, emotion, and value changes. So it's impossible to live by use of funds. There's not one company, if you went back and look at their original business plan, not only has the same business, but also adhered to their use of funds. So if you use humility as your guidepost, the minute you're raising money, you should continue to raise money until the end or exit of the company.
Well, yeah, revenue cures all problems, right?
Revenue or raise, those are the two issues you should have as a startup.
It's so funny, when we were running the Angel Accelerator with Gerard Adams a number of years back, we invested into a company that they were doing addiction. It's like a social network for people suffering from addiction. And so that's what the gentleman came in, and his original business model. Now he does consulting for doctors. He's made over $10 million in his company. Has nothing to do with the original MVP, but he was able to be wildly successful because he didn't give up, and he had the humility to pivot.
Look, Google was a search optimization tool. Amazon was selling books out of a garage on the internet. So this is the idea that until you have the humility to know that time, emotion, and value changes instantly. Every time you come to a decision, agreement, or take money, time of value and emotion are changing. So you should also, besides getting alignment, like a business plan and use of funds, besides taking action, coming to an agreement or decision, one of the key components of success is called preparing for adjustment. This is what I call the AAA strategy. And I instill that in a lot of young entrepreneurs, startups, old entrepreneurs, that they don't have a AAA strategy, and they're just amazed that I'm like, what are you going to do when you raise the money? Well, I'm just going to follow the use of funds. I'm like, first of all, that's literally impossible. Second of all, what are you going to do if you're successful? Where's the next money? Well, if I'm successful, money will just, no, it won't. Right? What's going to happen is when you're out there saying, look, we closed $1 million, I'm looking for my next $5 million, they're going to say, oh, what? What's going to happen? What? And they're not going to invest. But all of a sudden, you are successful. You've already done the groundwork. Now you've doubled, tripled the chances that you're going to get that $5 million like this.
Wow. So my last question, I know we're running low on time. If you could get in a time machine and you could go back to the 18-year-old version of yourself and give yourself some advice, what would you tell the younger version of yourself?
This is a question that I always ponder because I have the same answer, and I see, would I change it, would I change it? And it's the same advice I give to myself. So whether it's 18, 28, 38, 48, or in January I'll be 58, it's not going to matter. One simple piece of advice. It's the reason I lost over $100 million. It's also the reason I made it back. Ask for help. If you're 18 years old, more people are going to want to help you than help me. I promise you. And more big people are going to want to help you than help me. Because everyone knows that has made it, that the greatest joy we can have is to help an 18-year-old get to where we are faster and better than we got there without paying the dummy tax. So for me, the simplest way to get to where you want to be is a simple philosophy I call know your who. Find the guy you want to be like, that sits in the situation will be, ask him for help, and then take on, in your own mind, whether you're 18, 28, 38, 48, or 58, pulling up a chair next to you to help them get to where they want to be. There's always someone that you can help sit next to you, and there's always someone that can help you sit next to them.
Wow, I love that. And I guess kind of a follow-up on that, because I know there's a lot of young people, especially in this entrepreneur, this angel investing space. Some of them, it seems like they're asking for too much help. Yeah. So what's the proper way to approach a mentor or a investor or someone that you're looking for help, that they're 10 steps ahead of you?
You have to actually have done the work. You know, unfortunately, like you said, there are people on the other side of the coin that all they do is ask for help, but they don't and aren't prepared to ask for help. So I have a paperclip theory, and this has been for years, because I'm like, what do I do with all these people saying, Mr. Meltzer, will you help me get funding? Mr. Meltzer, will you look at my... Because I will give 5 minutes to anyone. I'll give out my cell phone, 5 minutes to anyone to help them. But I use the paperclip theory. I'll say, okay, what would you like me to do? Can you help me fund my company? Can you read my business plan? Can you do this? Not a problem. Mail me a paperclip. Here's my address. Mail me a paperclip. If you mail me a paperclip, I'm happy to help you. This is the problem with people. They don't vet whether someone's ready for help or not. Imagine, you're telling me you want what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur, right? It's not the mistakes that are going to stop you, it's the lack of commitment. You and I both know that. So if they're not willing to take the time to get a paperclip, put it into an envelope, pay for a stamp and send it to me, why would I waste my time helping them? Do you think they're going to do the work that's necessary to get them to where... I'm happy to give them the help, but if you want it more than them and they're not willing to do anything with the help you give them, it ain't worth shit. So anybody out there, once again, I'll give you my phone number. They can put it in the notes. They can put my address in the notes. Anyone that really wants my help out there, send me a paperclip to my office. I promise you, you'll have a 5-minute call, and I will help you because I know you'll do the work.
I love it. David Meltzer, thank you again for coming on the show, my friend. If people want to connect with you, they want to find out about the new show, where should they go?
Yeah, go check out Go Fund Yourself on Cheddar. It is the most exciting, fun show. We're getting great reviews. So Go Fund Yourself, me, Jason Waller, and Rory Kataya. Amazing Titans on the show, guest Titans, Michael Chandler, Marshall Falk, all have been on the show as well. Addie, it's amazing. But reach out to me directly. I will, for anyone in the FinTech audience, the Reach TV audience, email me directly, david@dmeltzer.com. I will send you my book. I will sign it for you. I will pay for shipping and the book if you just email me, david@dmeltzer.com, and send me a paperclip while you're at it as well. Thank you so much, Tony.
David Meltzer, thank you again for being on the show, my friend.